Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name's Lizzie and this video is the first video in my DIY wedding dress series. So this video is going to be all about phase 1 of Mission DIY wedding dress. And phase 1, or stage 1 as I've been calling it, was inspiration. So the first thing I needed to do in this huge task of making my wedding dress was to collect inspiration to start working towards a design, essentially. Now, this was quite a long drawn out phase. I was engaged for 2 years, so I had plenty of time to collect together a lot of Pinterest boards and save things on my Instagram. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk you through the process of how I started to collect my ideas and gather together the inspiration for what would eventually become the design of my wedding dress. So the first couple of things I've already mentioned. Pinterest. I love Pinterest. It's such a good place to be able to collect lots of ideas together in a visual way. So yeah, I used Pinterest. I had a board called wedding dresses and I would just search different kind of things that interested me and pin. I pinned to my heart's content, and it was great to be able to look back, scroll through, maybe remove pins for things I was no longer so interested in, and I could kind of see a theme, or several themes starting to emerge. I also used Instagram, so Instagram now has the function saved collection, so the exact same thing. If ever I saw something on Instagram that was a detail I liked, or a silhouette I liked, a kind of sort of fabric texture or shape drape that I liked, I'd pin it. And this was not exclusive to wedding dresses, like wedding dress content. I also just looked at like general fashion. If I saw something on Instagram that was just an evening dress, but it happened to be the shape that I would maybe love for a wedding dress, I'd pin it. I didn't only look at like white ivory traditional wedding gowns. I also looked at magazines, and I wanted to tell you about one of my favourite magazines that I used for inspiration. I used, all the typical ones. I've got a copy of Brides magazine here that I looked at. That was the one in season when I was doing my hunting. I also just looked at plain old, not plain, it's fabulous, but I looked at Vogue, because again, I wasn't just limiting myself to only looking at white bridal gowns. I looked at just fashion, evening wear in general to get ideas. But the magazine I really enjoyed looking at was this one. This is called Rock and Roll Bride, and it's fairly I think it's a monthly magazine, yes, or bi-monthly. This was the November-December issue from 2018, and it was $4.99. But it was so worth the purchase because it's just a little bit more alternative than your traditional bridal magazines. Don't get me wrong, the gowns in magazines like this are truly stunning, but a lot of them are kind of what you'd expect. Your traditional, sweetheart necklines, lace, all that kind of thing. But Rock and Roll Bride has just, it's got a lot of beautiful photos of real weddings, and some of these weddings are a bit more unusual. So for example, there's pictures in here of this bride who wore like a sparkly sequined dress with loads of colours in it, and a floral headband. There's just loads of showing the DIYs and like the decor of the weddings, like really beautiful imagery. And I just found it a bit more of an interesting source of information as opposed to just your super traditional bridal stuff. So have a look at Rock and Roll Bride. The next thing that I did as part of collecting inspiration for the design of my wedding dress was to actually go wedding dress shopping. I booked myself into a boutique in Norwich, which is the city closest to where I grew up. So I went home, saw my parents, took my mum and my best friend off wedding dress shopping. This was back in July 2018, so I got married April 2019. This was back in July 2018. And yeah, we started off by going to one bridal boutique that was like off the rack type gowns. You could just walk in, you didn't need an appointment. And then I went to my formal appointment, and it was great. It was great fun. Trying on the gowns was awesome, but it taught me a lot. And I'll move to the side actually so that I can put some photos in to show you some of the things I tried on. And I'm going to look at my laptop here because I can talk through some of the photos as I put them up. But I tried on some lovely things. I tried on quite a few like clingy, like fishtaily fitted sexy numbers, which I really liked. But if I'm honest, I was quite worried about, well, what if I eat a bit too much and then I'm really self-conscious because I've got a food baby? Like, I didn't want any of that. I tried on some with the most beautiful long trains, which were stunning, and I did really like. But I just knew that a train would drive me nuts, or that's kind of the outcome. I decided this is beautiful, but if someone steps on it, I'm going to go nuts. If it doesn't look nicely spread out in all the photos, it's going to be like disappointing. So those were some really good like learning points. I also tried on some slightly bigger like puffy gowns, and I felt a little bit drowned in them. They weren't quite for me. I tried some that were lace and had a lot of lace up the top, because I kind of thought that having my chest and shoulders covered would be good for me, but actually some of them I felt a bit like swamped in. And I ended up really liking some gowns that I never thought I would like. So I ended up wearing one that was strapless, quite fitted, not too like fishtaily, but it was sort of fitted on the hips and then looser as it went down, and it had a ruche detailing across the stomach, and it just fitted me really beautifully. And then the lady in the shop sort of showed me how I could add some straps, or not necessarily me personally, but a seamstress, and that was a look that I really liked, and tried on several things that were like that. And I tried on one with a beautiful like low back and loads of beading. But overall I came away from that thinking, well, I tried on a load of dresses that I didn't really expect to try on, and I was really intrigued to see what I did and didn't like. But it did, when I look back at the photos, I looked at all the photos of me in these full-length dresses, and I just didn't really feel like myself. And it kind of made me realise that I wanted to consider short wedding dresses. So I think that was the main learning point from trying on the real, like, traditional wedding gowns in a traditional wedding dress shop, was that I maybe wanted something a little bit more unusual. Not necessarily unusual, but a lot of the dresses I tried on, I kind of just felt like any old bride, and it felt a bit of a shame that obviously every bride is special, but so many other people would have got married in those same dresses, and they felt a little bit obvious. I just didn't feel like me, and that made me realise that I wanted to think a little bit more outside the box for my wedding dress. Next, I decided that I needed to just go to a department store and try on evening wear. Not specifically bridal wear, but just evening wear in general, because I knew that that would open up many more different designs that were not typically bridal type designs, and it would give me a chance to try out some of the shapes and necklines and silhouettes that I'd had going through my mind. So I went off to Selfridges. This was, hang on just a moment, when was this? This was November, so it was quite a few months passed between trying on wedding dresses and trying on just general evening wear. But I went off to Selfridges and I tried on several things in several different brands. Obviously Selfridges is a big department store, so they've got lots of different brands in there. And I tried on several things that were high-necked, which was something I was really keen on, and that sort of went in at the waist and then had sort of flowy, drapey midi skirts. Now, I was really hopeful about these kind of dresses because it was kind of what I really hoped would look really nice on me, but they didn't really balance my figure very well. Firstly, I think a midi length is a little bit long for me. I think with my height and the proportions of my legs and my torso, for me, just like on the knee or just below the knee is a bit more flattering than it being longer. It just looked, I don't think I have enough shape to kind of carry off such a long kind of column of fabric. So that was a good learning point. I tried on several more things that had a high neck. Really liked the look of the high neck. I found that really flattering. And that was quite a contrast to all of the bridal dresses I tried on, because most of the bridal dresses I tried were like a strapless or sweetheart neckline, so I had a lot of my collarbone and like chest exposed. So it was really nice to try on some high necked things to see that complete contrast. What else did I try on? I tried on a beautiful dress. It was a Reese one, I think, and it was khaki. Obviously I was trying these on, these are all different colours, but I was trying them on for the shape and the style, and then in my head I was imagining I could make this in white or ivory or cream or whatever it is. I tried on this like olive green dress in Reese and I loved it. It had a high neck, it had these loose kind of floaty sleeves that went in at the wrist, and then a really simple kind of just straight, slightly A-line skirt. and I really liked it. I really liked the shape and the high neck element, and it also was open at the back, which I thought was really pretty. But again, the silhouette just wasn't quite right. It felt like it was a bit too much fabric on the top and not enough body at the bottom, because I am top heavy. My figure is sort of like an upside down triangle. I've got quite narrow hips and broader shoulders. So that dress, although I loved it, it made me realise that actually I wanted something a little bit more slim fitting on the top with more volume on the bottom. But that was a shape that I really liked. I also tried on a slinky, kind of sexy, shiny silver midi dress, another Reiss one, and it wasn't quite what I wanted in terms of style, because I tried on a few more kind of evening-y dresses, and this dress and another burgundy dress that I'll put a picture of in as well, I just felt a bit too formal. We were having quite a relaxed, fun, fairly laid-back kind of wedding. It wasn't really formal, and so I felt that those were just too evening-y. They didn't suit the vibe we were going for, they didn't suit the venue. But this silver Reiss one, I really liked the colour of it, because I'm very fair, as you can see, and I was very conscious of trying to work out what shade of white, ivory, cream, what colour looks nicest with my skin tone. And this dress, I thought, wow, I really like that kind of cool toned grey, kind of oyster silvery colour. I really liked that against my skin, so that was an inspiration for me to think, okay, maybe I should be keeping an eye out for fabrics that are, yeah, almost slightly silvery. I just really liked that colour against my skin tone. So that was what I learned from my shopping trip to try on just general fashion evening wear. And by this point I had much more of a clear idea of what I wanted, and I was able to go away, gather together all of this research and ideas, so magazine cuttings, stuff from Instagram, stuff from Pinterest, photos I'd taken of myself at my various shopping trips, and I put together a mood board. Now I'll put a picture, hopefully quite big, in the screen now. I unfortunately don't have them on my mood board as a physical thing anymore, because it was all pinned onto a pin board, sorry, that was then used at our wedding for something else. We used big pin boards to do our itinerary board and a table plan board. So I had to take it all off. I do still have it all. It's all like, all my cuttings are in a paper wallet here. But I'll put some pictures up on the screen because I want to talk you through like my favourite bits. If I put the picture up now of the whole mood board and just let you have a look at it for a minute, you can hopefully start to see that there were some quite clear themes coming through. There were quite a few images that were quite a fitted bodice, with fitted long or 3/4 length sleeves, but with like a scoop, not a scoop neckline, what's the word, like a boat neckline, like where it kind of just grazes under your collarbones. I've got quite a few images like that, with these nice fitted long sleeve bodices, but then with a much fuller skirt. I was really into that look. I think it's really elegant. I also had quite a few examples on my board of where the bodice was a different fabric from the skirt. That was a theme that ran through lots of these images. I also still had quite a few images that had high necks. So I had this kind of, I had these two ideas. Do I want like a sort of a boat neckline or a high neckline? And I found some of the high necked ones are just so elegant, and I think a high neck can look just so beautiful. I also had quite a few images with an open back. So again, I was thinking, okay, maybe either a high neck or like a slash neck, but with an open back. And all of these images pretty much have got a full skirt on the bottom. So I very much realised that what I was after was slinky, and not slinky necessarily, but nice and fitted on the top, fuller on the bottom. And one of my favourite images is, it's not a bridal dress, it's just a general fashion dress, and it's got like quite a wide slash neck. It's almost off the shoulder but not quite, and it's got like a strip of lace down the middle to a fitted waistband, and then a full skirt. And I just thought that was so interesting how there are different textures going on with the different types of fabrics. And one of my absolute favourites was this. This was ripped out of a magazine, so I can't even remember which magazine, I'm afraid. And I've got lots of reflections going on, sorry about that. But this image I just loved. Just the detail with like the feather effect on the top with then the smooth fabric on the skirt. I just really was into that idea, the idea of having a different fabric, like contrasting fabrics to create some texture and interest. So I've been chatting away, I hope this has all made sense, but it basically all boiled down to my amazing mood board, and I kind of got to the point where I could break it down into kind of 4 key either points that I've decided or points that I'm still kind of questioning. So firstly, I decided I want a short dress. I decided that was what I would be most comfortable in, based on the fact that at the wedding dress shop I just didn't feel like myself in these big long gowns. I never even wear maxi dresses, like I just decided it wasn't me. So I wanted a short dress. Decision number 1. Decision number 2 was that I wanted an open back. It's just I don't have much going on at the front. I have very small boobs and I have quite a nice back, so really liked that idea. I also had come to the decision that I want a full-bodied skirt as opposed to a skirt that's slinky and drapey. Just from all this research, it seemed that not only was I really drawn to examples and other images that are that kind of silhouette, but that it would just suit my body type more. It would give me more balance out my shoulders, give me a nice small nipped-in waist look with then a fuller skirt. And then the 4th point was the point that I hadn't quite decided yet. It was high neck with like a little collar or a little bit of detailing, or an open kind of slash neck to show a little bit of collarbone. So that was kind of the outcome of the inspiration stage. I really hope you found that interesting. I'm sorry if it's been a bit burbly and rambly, but I hope the images have helped kind of illustrate what I've been explaining to you. But yeah, at that point I had a pretty good idea of the general theme of what I wanted, and I was then able to move on to phase 2 of Mission DIY Wedding Dress, and phase 2 was perfecting the design, or not necessarily perfecting the design because that kind of came in the 12 phase, but getting my designs on paper, researching patterns, trying to work out how I could make these kind of potential designs floating around in my head, working out how I could make them come to life based on patterns. So my next video in this series will be on that, and I'll be showing you all the sketches that I made to try and work out how this could become a dress. So if you would like to see that video, please make sure you subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks guys, bye!